Tuesday, 64046. But perhaps even more importantly than that, we do have a very special guest in the studio, and I'm not talking about Matt Everitt. Am I, Matt?
Oh, I thought that's exactly who you were talking about.
No, I mean, we do a lot of things, but we can't get too excited about seeing your long face in here, but we can get excited about seeing the face of our next guest.
We can indeed. So, as a bit of a preamble, Independent Venue Week, this is something we've talked about an awful lot on the station, and rightly so. In fact, every single year it happens, we talk about it. It's a 7-day celebration of small independent music venues around the country, the lifeblood of the music industry. And this year they have a very special project taking place, helmed by a very special guest who we have in the studio today, Mr. Philip Selway. Hello, Philip.
Hello, Matt. Hello, Shaun.
Hello,
everybody.
So, I mean, let's talk about this undertaking that you're involved with that starts on Monday. What is it? What have they got you doing?
Well, I'm heading out on a road trip for the whole of the Independent Venue Week. So, basically, I'm going around a different venue every day, meeting, all the venue organisers, meeting gig goers, meeting the artistes along the way as well. But just to kind of dive back into that whole process of doing those tours.
Yeah.
Because they're tours that I love doing. And then, when we were going out to Radiohead, that was kind of the early 90s when we were doing those shows. And then when I came back to do my own solo stuff as well. So there's just so much I kind of wanted to get back into in those venues. And kind of it's for this documentary, The Long and Winding Road, which is part of Independent Venue Week this year. And just thought it would be really good to actually, have a seat empty next to me in my little tour bus. But basically, anybody who's watching this documentary will hopefully feel part of that and get that experience of what it is like, Yeah,
because I mean, there is for nearly all bands, it's a very heartfelt connection you have to many venues that you do. I mean, just looking at even some of the list: Bedford Esquires, York Fibbers, Tunbridge Wells Forum, Norwich Arts Centre. They just they mean something. They're not just places you play.
I can see the wistful look in your eye.
I'm getting massively wistful.
I feel like asking Matt a question which I don't often do, but what was the best gig that you did when you were... We could have been Montrose Avenue, it could have been Menswear, it could have been Deadline, in an independent venue that you really remember, that was just like, oh my God, we're taking off here.
I remember Bath Moles was always quite good. Very small stage, very difficult to see. The sound wasn't necessarily very good, but it was just one of those little tiny basementy places where it always went off. You're smiling now.
Indeed I am, yes. I remember it for different reasons, though.
I'd love to know what they are.
But actually we played Bath Moles quite a few times. I remember one time we just finished recording our first album, Pablo Honey, and we thought we were pretty special. And we turned up and played at this gig, and we were appalling. Absolutely shocking. And our managers were there watching us, and somebody came up and said, God, this is absolutely unbelievable. Who are they? I mean, they completely denied us.
Oh my God.
Denied any knowledge.
Never heard of the band. Don't know who they are.
Then we got the kind of, I suppose, the band equivalent of a hairdryer treatment in the dressing room afterwards. It was a bit... We got the Mourinho treatment.
You got to pull your socks up, guys. If you want to make it, the topmost, the bottommost, you can't do that. That kind of thing.
But that's why I'm starting my first show next week. I'm going to is actually at Bath Moles.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, you see.
So I mean, for you, what's the route looking like? I mean, you're a person that tours as part of your living. Now you're going back on tour again, but without the kind of buzz of playing, but to get stuck into this stuff. Where are you going, or is it being kind of held secret? What's the plan?
So we start off in Bath on Monday. Then we're in Bush Hall on Tuesday in London, and then, where are we going? Up to Sheffield for the Lead Mill, up to Leeds, Brudenell Social Club, and God, this is when my minuscule memory starts running out, but we go on up to Halifax and revisiting the Adelphi, Adelphi and
Paul
Hull.
Jackson's Adelphi.
And then we kind of round up the whole week in Bury to go and see Richard Hawley.
That's going to be the last time I saw Richard Hawley live. I was right at the front. He was playing for us at Maida Vale, and it was Valentine's Day, and I couldn't stop crying in front of everybody and the cameras and that. He got right under my ribs. So you got to be ready for that.
Was it an allergy? Was it?
I think it was actually some sawdust.
What was the venue for you when you were growing up that you went to go and see other people in? What was your sort of local Oxford, or what was the place that was?
So the Jericho Tavern.
Yeah, there you go.
And then there was the venue that became the Zodiac, which is now an O2 place. But I mean, particularly with the Jericho and the Zodiac, it was that kind of immediacy of those venues.
Who did you see there? Can you remember? Who are the people that a young Philip would be there, hands on the monitors at the front, watching the drummer, going, I don't want to do that.
It wasn't Mosque, was it? That would be embarrassing.
Who? Exactly. Who? Any excuse for Shaun to plug his terrible old band. Yeah, I mean, there was, because all those venues, big, cool people played at those places over the years.
Yeah, no, I remember, well, with the Zodiac, that was a great one, because it was, I think people would come along to do their kind of their warm-up to doing slightly bigger shows, so you get people like Gil Scott-Heron coming through there. Wow. And you see somebody like that in a small venue. It's just incredible. There's that real connection with the music, and having being on the other side of playing as well. There breaks down the distance. Yeah. In the whole experience, really, and it's they're great for that, really.
Yeah, and I think there's this thing about and we talk about it a lot because it's really important. If you don't have those places to play, you don't get better. You don't.
Yeah, absolutely.
As a band, you don't improve. Your songwriting doesn't get better. Your playing doesn't get better. So you're not able to make that next step to the sort of more arena-y kind of like, or anything over 1,000 people. Yeah. You can't just jump to that as a new band. No. You've got to get good. You
can't go from your mum's front room to the Hammersmith Apollo, can you? You know what I mean? That's why it's so massively important, isn't it?
It doesn't work. I mean, and also, are you? I guess you've been researching this. Are you seeing a lot of these venues struggling, or are you seeing some of them kind of are they being more appreciated as time goes on? How's the balance? What have you seen?
I think Independent Venue Week itself has been very good,
right,
in kind of actually giving these venues that have been around for a long time the love they deserve, really. Yeah. Because you have these promoters, organisers at the heart of these ones. I mean, it becomes their life, and it's not for huge reward or anything. It's just that they love music, they love putting on those events, but it's a tough one to maintain, I think. But fact is, I was going through the list of the venues, and there's still so many venues there that we used to play at. Yeah. Back in the day in radio.
Still going.
But that's down to the people who just pour their lives into keeping these venues open.
Yeah, because they're often a part of the community. Yes. And it's not this the other thing I think it's interesting to think about. It's not just the bands there. It's where if you're a sound technician, if you're one of the crew or a tech, if you do the posters, if you do a bit of marketing or PR around the event, there's a whole kind of community of people that will then go on and maybe travel up with a band or get careers in the music industry past that point, aren't there,
Absolutely. I mean, I want to think back to it, just from a band point of view. When we first started playing, we'd played about 6 or 7 shows in Oxford over the course of about 5 years. And so we had a lot of catch-up to do. And actually, unless we'd had that kind of outlet of those venues and that kind of immediate feedback as well, it was a very steep learning curve for us, but it was a good place to do it because they're really supportive places.
It's going to be great, isn't it? There's got so many fantastic people actually playing over the week, like Billy Bragg and Cancer Bats. You've got Heavy Lungs, you've got Leland Moss, you've got Novelist, of course, who's one of the ambassadors, isn't he? Swim Deep Public Service Broadcasting. Pigs.
Specials.
Oh yes. That we can. Well, I wouldn't say another word just in case I say something wrong.
Exactly.
But really amazing people playing through fantastic venues throughout the country. Really.
I mean, were you tempted to? What was the first tour bus? What was the first Radiohead van or bus like? Because I want to know, are you going to recreate like the actual first tour? So we're only going to eat pasties. We're going to live on Lucozade and local lager in plastic glasses. How accurately are you reliving your early
It's
tours?
exactly what the rider's sounding like, Matt. It really is. Yeah, well, we're in a van, smaller van, not a splitter van, because don't have all the gear fit for this one. But it is a white van though, which is fine.
Yeah,
it's my drummer's van. Yes.
Excellent.
So I'm going around in that, and it is. We are being very frugal.
Good.
Just as you should be on one of these tours.
Recreating it properly.
What was on your first rider? Can you remember? What did you ask for? Did you have any novelty items? Like very early dates going, well, obviously we need water and towels and socks, but also ... What else did you ask for? Can you remember?
God, you're talking about Radiohead here. It's going to be something incredibly dull, isn't it? What did we ask for?
Because it wasn't hummus, was it? Because that would be on.
No, that would have been. It was the early 90s.
We didn't.
Hadn't heard of hummus in the early 90s.
Hadn't reached Oxford by that point, exactly. I'm afraid.
I remember asking one of the bands. I was asking for postcards with stamps on them.
We did that. That was a great one.
Because then you could get there.
Yes.
You could write a postcard to your mum.
Oh yeah.
And just post it off, and you wouldn't. And then your mum, because it was before mobile phones. It was harder to keep in touch with your family.
And it was a lovely personal touch as well, wasn't it?
See, it's making me all misty-eyed, this now, to be perfectly honest. Well, just thanks so much for coming in and talking to us about it. And Bush Hole, my local one, next week. So who's going to be on that bill then? What would you do? I'm just going to wait. I'm just going to look it up and see. Just go to Google and find out which independent venue is nearest to you and what is going on next week, because it's going to be amazing.
We do have to. You mentioned your solo stuff, and you mentioned Radioheads. What's going on with both? Are you going to be dragging yourself into the studio to create some more Phil Selway stuff? Are the band happily
be later this year?
Really?
Yes.
Oh, excellent. Okay.
And then band-wise, we're taking a little bit of time away from it this year. But I think everybody's getting on with their own stuff.
Yeah.
Eagerly waiting an Ed O'Brien solo album.
Yeah,
well.
that's on the way. But there's going to be a record from you and another record from you as well.
There will be, yes.
Right. Do you know who you're going to be working with yet, or is it all under wraps?
It's all in process.
Unfurling in the mists of time. Well, it's just great. It's lovely to have you in the studio.
Thank you, Shaun. Lovely to be here.
It's almost as lovely to have you in the studio, Matt. Thank you very much for your contributions.
Not quite as special. I'm here every day, but I appreciate the intent of the comment.
Thank you very much. And I'm going to play, to finish, I'm going to play some This Is The Kit and Moonshine Freeze, because they are going to be playing as part of Independent Venue Week. They're playing at the Ipswich Smokehouse on the 28th of January if you want to catch them, which will be great. But for now, let's have a listen.